Hey kids, we're back. Welcome back to Guitar Quackery Live. Guitar Quackery Live is the one and only live streaming guitar repair channel. How about that? And you're watching it now. You must be watching a replay, but the channel is a live channel, so I don't upload videos on this channel. I just do live streams from the Guitar Quackery Repair Shop. This is the smallest repair shop in New York City. It's in a rehearsal studio called Bob Elliott's Music Makers NY. That's where I am. And yeah, so the bench is big enough for one person. Two people could work here, but yeah. So what are we doing? Well, like I said, we're streaming live. That's because that's what this channel is. So if you like the idea of catching me at work in real time, live in real time, then subscribe to this channel and hit the bell notification. That's how you will know that I am streaming, because I don't do scheduled live streams. Not yet. Maybe I will in the future, but so far I haven't done any. We are going to be repairing a Martin guitar. So Martin guitars are known for you know, certain things that, you know, at least known around repair shops. This isn't the one, okay, that we'll be repairing. This is the one I'm showing to better explain what we'll be repairing. So I have a dynamic microphone, so I need to put this close to the microphone for you to hear the sound. So doesn't quite sound like a guitar, does it? But it is a guitar. It looks like a guitar, so it must be a guitar. It is a Martin, okay? See? It says Martin on the headstock. So, Martin is the company that makes guitars that simply fall apart on their own. So this guitar wasn't dropped or anything. This is what happens to Martin guitars, and this is why it sounds like this. Okay, experimental technology is, well, experimental. So we don't know how long these things will last. Well, we kind of know because we see them frequently now in repair shops. But that's how Martin makes their guitars nowadays. They've always built guitars that have issues. But yeah, so I'm showing you this guitar so that you understand what we'll be repairing on the other guitar, which is obviously also a Martin guitar. Oh, Dr. Steve Cassidy is here. He says, hope you're well, sir. Sir? I'm that old. Okay. Yeah, I guess I'm well. I took a nap right here about an hour ago, so I feel better now. I had a bunch of work to do today. Not here, but at home. Well, at my home office. It's tax season, so yeah, preparing paperwork and all that. And also doing stuff for YouTube growth. And since you're here, Dr. Cassidy, I'm going to reach out to you, okay, soonish. We're going to do something. Not a video together. We're going to, no, I'll tell you about it. Yeah. You'll get my email soon-ish, okay? because I've done some research that will help you. Well, it'll help both of us, right? But I'm thinking of you, okay? I'm thinking of you. So, yeah, you're one of my favorite guitar channels, so I'm thinking of you. Well, here is the guitar, okay? That's the baby Martin Ed Sheeran Subtract Edition. And here I have this thing marked off from this line to this line over here. There are 2 lines, you see that? That's where we have the kind of separation that we saw on the other Martin guitar. So it's not severe, so we're going to stabilize it before it becomes severe. And I'm going to show you with this feeler gauge what we are going to do. Yeah. And you're intrigued. I'm far too kind. Maybe I have an agenda. Okay. No. We're going to do something together. Kind of together. Yeah. All right. So we're going to help each other out. That's what I mean. Okay. I hired a consultant, a YouTube consultant. I need to ask her if I can reveal who she is. I keep forgetting. But here we have this thing. Okay, here we have this thing. And as you can see, this is a feeler gauge. We shouldn't be able to do this on a guitar, right? So it starts here and it ends here, okay? So we have a glue joint separation. How did I discover this? Because you can't see the crack. Well, I felt it. So if you go like this, you can kind of see that there's a little step right there. You see that? Okay, so I felt it. So we're going to need to clamp it down, but we also need to make sure that there's no step when we clamp it. So there is a step here now. You see? And in order to avoid having a step, we need to be able to push this part outwards. And the way we're going to do it is I built this jig. It's going to go inside the guitar. I haven't tested it yet, but here it is. And this is like a truss rod, okay? So, well, that's how you explain it to guitar players, right? So when I twist this in this direction, it expands this thing, okay, this jig. And this is going to be pushing the lower bout of the guitar outwards so that I can get a flush glue joint. And then I'll simply put, I think, 2 clamps like this. Now, there's clamping options. The elegant thing to do is to use these clamps. I'll show you one of them. They look good, but honestly, this isn't the perfect clamp for this job because I need to clamp it here at the edge. And as you can see, I don't want to leave it like that. Or, there's those violin clamps, which I don't have here right now, but I have just regular Home Depot clamps. These. All right. So I'm just going to use this. Simple. Okay, so now we know what we're doing. Rule number 1. Any glue joint requires good surface preparation. So if you have a surface that isn't clean, you're putting glue on top of the whatever material is contaminating the surface, and then you are not actually gluing onto the surface of the material, right? So it's important to do some cleanup first. And to be honest with you, I've already done that. Now, I didn't want to stick sandpaper inside and do this because two reasons. I don't want the grit from the sandpaper to get stuck inside, because grit does come off, especially from the sides of the sandpaper. So I'm just using this as a blade. If you look at this will make sense. And you can see little fragments of glue that came out, okay? Now, we also don't want to overdo the cleanup, because if you remove too much of the actual material, then you end up with a gap, okay? So, kind of have to use your own judgment. And like I said, I've already done the cleanup. So next thing to do is to remove the strings and to test this gadget. Or you know what? I'll remove this battery compartment first. How about that? So we just need a screwdriver. Let's get to work. Let me focus. It's better when it's in focus. Yeah, so I hired a YouTube consultant, and I think she's phenomenal, which is why I'm paying her. I, checked out some of her achievements, and she's a self-made. Well, she isn't a millionaire. Maybe I should say not yet. But she is very good. So there's Think Media, which I'm sure many of you know of. Think Media. Well, they have less subscribers than she does on her channel, which she built on her own in 2 years. But it's her 5th channel. So, yeah. And she struggles with some of the same issues I struggle with. So I think she's a good match for me, I think. All right, so I removed this thing. Now, let's remove the strings. Sorry, I got a text message coming in. Okay, it's a short message. I can ignore it. Let's remove the strings. They're already loose. Maybe not loose enough. As you can see, there's a Velcro here. It's just going to hold the strings. And let's remove them. So today we are going to just clamp this, and I'll put it away. Obviously, we won't be able to finish all the work on this guitar today. That's a small sound hole, so maybe I should do this. Right. You see, it's easier to work on big guitars. It's really difficult to work on ukuleles. On violins, it's easy to work, because you can take them apart, kind of like this, yeah. But that's not what Martin had in mind. Okay, this is not by design. Let me see if I can just unplug this whole unit. Oh. don't know. If I unplug it, look, I can't even move my hand. My hand is stuck now inside. All right. Let's see if this works. So honestly, I'm not even sure this is going to work. It's the first time I'm trying this. So this is just the first dry run. Look at that. That's not promising. Oh, okay. That's all right. Okay. So here we go. Now I place it here. Okay. It's working. Look at that. So here I can hold it, and I can now expand it. Okay. Let me hold it like this because it's a little bit too loose for now. Okay. Clever, right? So this is, you know, a very, very minor step. I'm sure most people wouldn't notice it, but I like to take the extra step to, well, no pun intended, to get rid of the step, right? To eliminate the step. So the extra step in the repair procedure. Okay, so I'm adjusting this thing. Okay, and I need to make sure that it's seated in the right place on both ends. And now I am just turning this thing. Okay, I cranked it up too much, so now we have a separation in this direction, so I need to, you know, loosen it a little bit. And now it seems to be just right. In fact, I wonder if I can even put this back. Let me see. Oh, the other way, right? That would be great. Yeah, look, I can even put it back. So let's just put the screws back. Of course, this won't stay inside of the guitar. I just don't want to have too many loose parts. Loose parts, what happened here? Have a tendency to get lost, right? Yeah, so I just want to align it, and then we'll clamp it down this way, and it'll be perfectly aligned. Okay, so inside, you can't see this, but there's a plastic frame, which is really annoying. It's a Fishman system, and sometimes that plastic frame can, oh, I can do this, right? I think it's kind of like glued to the inside. So sometimes it can fall off and then it becomes a nightmare. So that's also a reason why. See, here I'm pushing this screw. It's getting pushed inside, so that plastic frame is separating. Okay, and now as I am tightening the screw, it's pulling the plastic frame back against the lower bout, against the side of the guitar, right? Okay, I think this is good. So I have my micro adjustment here. And I'll adjust this later. Okay. By the way, I highly recommend these. This is a fairly new acquisition for me. I've always wanted to have these. So I bought one. They make them in 2 sizes. for acoustic and for electric. Okay, I will use just, you know, an old string package to mix up the epoxy. The epoxy I'll be using will be this one. This is clear, slow cure. You see that? 30-minute epoxy. So that's very important. Most epoxies that you just buy off the shelf will be a 5-minute epoxy. Sometimes you'll see 15-minute. So you really want this to be, for a job like this, 30 minutes or longer cure time. Now that's just open work time, right? And I really want to be done within 15 minutes of mixing it, all right? So what I'll be doing is, because let me just explain now, because I won't have time to talk too much later. I will simply use this to push some epoxy into the... You see, now I can't even start this thing because now it's perfectly aligned, so it's more difficult to find the crack, which actually brings me to a point. I should perhaps prepare for this. So this feeler gauge came from this set, and I'm simply going to take another one out. Like this one, maybe. And maybe both of those, okay? So this is a 2 1/1000ths of an inch, 3 and 4 1/1000ths, okay? So now I want to do this. I want to just add this one here. Now put this one in between and put it here, and now put this one here. And now we have an opening, and this will help me get started, maybe like this, okay? So it's a good thing to practice a dry run. Let me see. If I place them here, does this work? Not quite. So you see, it's a good thing to do practice runs. So 3 and 4 is 7. So I do have a thicker one. I have a 6 and an 8. So let me place the 8. Again, I go between the two, and now I place it here. And this one is a 6 1/1000ths. So maybe I place this one here, and I no longer need these two. Let's see. How am I going to do this? This feels better. I think I can still go thicker, to be honest. Let me see. How about 11 and 12? Okay, the 11 gauge goes here, and the 12 gauge goes there. I know they're getting mixed up, but they're, you know, they're labeled, so I'll be able to put them together later. Okay, let me see. I think this will work. Maybe even thicker. 14 and 16. Oh, I see. So with the thicker ones, you can just pry it open like this, and then it becomes easier to place this inside, okay? Because they're stiffer, obviously. All right, so this will do. I'm sure this is okay. 14 and 16 gauge. Okay, so we're almost ready to mix the epoxy. I'm going to just tape off the area. I'm just deciding which tape to use. I think this tape. Okay. So I masked off this area. I guess it wouldn't hurt to, yeah, you know what? I'm not doing this right. Let's take the wider tape and first mask off this thing. And I'll put this tape and mask off this thing. Okay, the reason why I'm doing it this way is because this tape will be messier. I want to remove it first, then clean up, and then remove this tape at the end. Okay, and now how much should I worry about masking this off? Maybe I should mask it off, but not with this tape. Let me think. Yeah, for this, let's use this tape. And maybe a Post-it note. Or maybe I should have just used 2 Post-it notes. Just like that. Yeah, epoxy jobs can get messy. So it's a good idea to mask off. And now I can just trim this. It doesn't have to be precise. Just like that. It'll still get a little bit messy, but that's it. Okay. Let's mix up some epoxy and clamp it. I don't want my phone to get messed up, so let me take a bag. Oh, this is perfect. Because I have my switcher on my phone, okay? And I'll be able to use it through the bag. Okay. So let's move this here. And it's time. The time has come. Oh, look at that. There's a small audience. Okay, how do you pronounce the avatar? Midmo 0180. I'm sorry I'm late. What caused the crack? Well, it's the Martin feature. This is another Martin guitar. They fall apart spontaneously, right? I showed this at the beginning. So all the Martin guitars with this material, I think it's melamine, have this issue. Not all of them, but many, okay? That's how they're made. It's very easy. I don't like to criticize Martin, but I do. The reason is I like this channel to be, or my channels in general, to be known as, Guitar Quacker to be known as a consumer advocate, right? So you're paying for this, for the guitar, and then you're paying for the repairs. And, they should really up their game. That's one thing. The other thing is, these things are so time consuming. I've fixed these things so many times, and then I got to do other work on the guitars as well. It ends up costing me money, to be honest with you. I can never charge enough for my time when I get involved with this. And I'm actually considering not taking any more Martin X series guitars to work on. So, so how is it costing me? Well, if I don't charge enough for my time, I still got to pay the rent here, right? So, like any business, you need to make a certain amount of money every hour because you're paying for the hour through the rent and other expenses. So when you don't charge enough, it ends up costing you. You could be working on something else, or you could go in the red. So yeah. So it's kind of costing me. I'm going to mark off the two little lines. I see where they are through the tape. Okay, now it's marked off. Okay, let's just mix it. Let's put this camera here. I mean, they could just make better guitars, and then there will be nothing to talk about, right? So, so I know what breaks and what, is more. Anyway, I don't want to talk about this now. Let's focus on the repair. It's a two-part epoxy. See, and I can't guarantee that it's not going to fall apart elsewhere. We just want to fix this. So when you mix two-part epoxy, well, this two-part epoxy composition requires a 1-to-1 ratio. So you kind of eyeball it, and then you need to double check before you start mixing. So I place the two bottles like this, and I let the epoxy just settle before I start mixing. Okay. All right. Any more comments? Let me see. Do you have a favorite brand or builder? Well, I'm a Gibson guy. And I know that Gibson has its own share of issues. So I'm not saying that you can't get a good Martin. I see that many of them have issues. That's what I'm saying. And yeah, I don't think they live up to their reputation. But I own quite a few Gibson guitars. Yeah, I need to put some more, I don't know which one, that's the hardener, a little more hardener here, just a drop. And like I said, I also need to see that both levels are equal once it settles, right? So I keep an eye on that. So Martin guitars, well, I like the history, right? You know, they came up with, you know, a lot of innovations, right? I mean, and I think it's actually a good thing to try to use other materials to build guitars. I think that's a good thing. The challenge is always what adhesive to use when you glue two different types of materials together. So wood glue is good for wood to wood. Plastic glue is good for plastic to plastic. But which glue do you use to glue plastic to wood, right? So that's not plastic, but whatever this composite material is. See, that's the challenge. And that's why these things are falling apart. So let me show you. So that's a composite material. That's a composite material. But that's wood on the inside. So, so this composite material is actually glued to wood, and that wood is glued to this composite material. And, you know, they haven't figured out which glue is going to stand the test of time. So that's a problem. So am I using the right adhesive? I don't know. Probably not. But I don't know what to use. I don't have the budget for research and development. I just use my best judgment, and I have no idea what they use. I certainly don't want to use what they use, because that is proven to fail too often. So yeah, I wish I knew what they use so that I can avoid it. All right. Let me check this. That's good. All right. So now we can start mixing. Why don't I place paper towel here? Just like that. Okay. And maybe this camera goes up a little bit. So this is challenging because I want to be able to work, but I also want to show you what I'm doing. Okay, cool. All right, shall we do it? Let's do it. Okay, so epoxy is an adhesive, but it's a good gap filling adhesive, right? So, and the reason is because it hardens without drying. So it's not a process of evaporation, like, let's say, wood glue. So normal wood glue hardens as the moisture leaves the mixture, which means it's going to be smaller in volume when it's dry, obviously. And because it's going to reduce in volume, it isn't a good gap filling adhesive. But here we're just mixing two components together, and some kind of chemical reaction happens, and this thing gets hard over time as a result of the chemical reaction. But nothing evaporates from it. It's really important to mix it well, but we can't be mixing it forever because it's already hardening as I'm mixing, right? As soon as you start mixing, it's doing its thing. So now I only have time to focus on my work. I cannot take phone calls or anything. Okay, where's my thing? Here it is. So maybe I won't talk too much now, because obviously I need to focus on this. So there will be squeeze out. The squeeze out is going to be on the outside and on the inside. There's nothing I can do about the squeeze out on the inside, because it's a small body guitar. I can only clean up the squeezer on the outside. Okay. And I can use naphtha to clean it. Here I said it. I avoid saying the name of the toxic chemical that we use in repair shops, because I don't want kids watching this to poison themselves or burn down the house. But now you know what it is. I'm going to be using naphtha. So now, since I did say that, naphtha is a really toxic chemical. No amount of it is good. You see, so now I can no longer put this blade between the two. Okay, so I'm going to assume, yeah, I did put enough. Now I'm going to start cleaning the squeeze out. So this is going to go fairly quickly now, all right? Look at that, all right? Well, maybe I won't even use naphtha. Look at that, beautiful. Okay, I want to move this away, because like I said, epoxy gets messy. And I need only 2 clamps. Let's remove this one, this tape. And the white tape as well. All of it. You know what? I want to put a plate on top of this. Yeah. Small plate, like this. That's fine. one more clamp, and we're done. Well, not quite. I need to make sure there's no squeeze out. Hold on. Don't want to overdo it. Especially I don't want to crush the bottom, right? And now I want to just make sure that I get all the squeeze out off. So yeah, there's some squeeze out I can show you here through the microscope. Let me see. Okay, you can see it right there. Right, the epoxy. So the way you remove it is you need to twist like this. And I don't want to use this Q-tip for the second pass. I use a fresh one, right? Obviously. Okay. So I go over the same area, but then extend it, okay? And now I start maybe here and go all the way to here. Turn it around. And I'm just looking at the surface. There's no more squeeze out of any kind. Okay, so there was no need for any toxic chemicals. This will be a, I hope a fairly good glue joint. Obviously some epoxy also went in the empty spaces like that and flooded everything. So I think that will be good. You leaving? Okay. Yeah. So what happens next? It's going to happen off camera. I'm going to bag this guitar overnight. First, I'm going to place it outside. I do have an area with a humidifier, which is just a fancy word for a moist sponge. And keep it like that. And then when I come back, I will unclamp it. That's it. And remove the inside clamp again through the output jack cutout. That's it. I'll show you something else here. Something that, again, we see all the time on Martin guitars. So I like to educate the public. So by the way, this video isn't sponsored by Martin. These are just my opinions. So what's wrong with this picture? You see this? So if I go like this with the feeler gauge, you can see that this gets stuck here. Okay? So inside there is what we call a neck block. So the neck is mounted onto the neck block. And the neck block itself is mounted on the body here. So when you have this kind of separation, that means that the neck block separated a little bit from this place. The soundboard fractured from here all the way to here, and this happened, right? Which is why we're seeing this. Okay, so whenever you see a guitar with this, let's say if you're buying a second-hand guitar, or maybe even if you're buying a brand new guitar, such as a Martin, you should look for that. I can show you a close-up of this. So this is now education beyond the repair that we're doing. But it's useful information. Here you can see what happened. You can clearly see that there's a step here, right? And you can see the separation right there. And there's also a step here on the inside, and then there's a step underneath the fingerboard extension, which we can't see. But this kind of step exists under the fingerboard extension. And in fact, this equivalent of this part that's under the fingerboard extension is pushing this in this direction. And that's why we have this gap. And then that's why we have this gap. So there you have it. Why am I not fixing it? Well, certain repairs are so time-consuming, it takes longer to do this kind of repair than to build a new guitar. Because I need, in order to repair this properly, I would need to take the whole guitar apart. Remove the fingerboard first, then remove the neck, then I guess remove the soundboard to access that neck block, right? And unfortunately, I see this on Martin guitars all the time. Many people are not even aware of the fact that their guitars have this. Yeah. Sometimes, and again, I'm going to say the word naphtha here, but I already told you that it's a dangerous chemical, right? Which you should only use in a well-ventilated area with gloves and whatever. You can't see the fracture through, sometimes the fracture through the wood grain is right next to the fingerboard extension, right? And in order to highlight it, you can use naphtha because it'll penetrate through the crack. So you can use it on the inside, and it'll come out through that crack. And then it'll, you know how your t-shirt would get darker if you spilled water? Same thing, right? So momentarily it would darken up a line, and you would know that there's a hairline fracture through the entire soundboard. And those things are really difficult, time-consuming to properly repair. Okay. Okay, kids, I'm going to wrap this up. If you liked this, if you think you learned anything from this, click, click, click. If you want to buy me a coffee, there's a link to buy me a coffee. Thank you if you do. Don't worry if you don't. We're still friends. And that's it. I'll be working on another guitar. Oh, where's my watch? There. Soon. But I do need to put this one away. So I'll take maybe at least 15-minute break, hopefully not longer. And then the next guitar will probably be, let me check here, my my app. Oh, so this one I have to mark off as clamped. Where's my clamped? Okay. And let me see. So I am repairing a PRS. Last time I did a repair on the tuning machine, which took 3 live streams to complete. So I think I'll put that one on the bench next. I might change my mind. I got a whole bunch of guitars to work on. but you will probably see appearance on the workbench if you log on. All right. So that's what I think will happen. Okay. Oh, Dr. Steve Cassidy, by the way, do you watch his channel? He's got a channel, Steve Cassidy Guitar. You gotta watch it. I watch it. But he's gotta sleep. So he says, cheers, mate. Okay. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. And let's talk soon.